Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news, and the big rumour circulating in the paddock today is with regard to Mercedes bringing a potentially huge upgrade in the second half of the season that may prove critical to them winning at least one race as time progresses. Not too many details on exactly what the nature of this upgrade is. Montoya believes that when Mercedes have a huge upgrade to bring, you know what that means, dominance could be returning in due course. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to discuss, of course. Firstly, a quick update on the McLaren Daniel Ricciardo situation. Apparently, they've paid him about $15 million to terminate that contract we saw earlier today. This also because McLaren, bit of a dramatic state right now, because Alex Palou, they announced all this IndyCar stuff, and I think even some of the drivers said that they were getting enticed into the IndyCar deals because McLaren could kind of promise a Formula 1 seat, which obviously isn't going to happen. And seemingly, McLaren deleted the tweet confirming Alex Palou is going to kind of join their IndyCar system for next year. So more to come, I'm sure, on the McLaren drama, and what will go into court, what will not, who knows. But it's a bit of a mess right now. This also from Antonio Giovinazzi. He is eyeing up a return to Formula 1, reportedly in talks with plenty of teams right now, including Haas and Williams. So we know that Haas is going to be Magnussen plus one. We don't know where Mick Schumacher is going to be. Some say he's going to stay. Some say Haas want to get rid of him and want to potentially send him off to Alpine, which could be an option for him if Riccardo doesn't go there. And also Williams are looking for probably a replacement to Latifi, and people have talked about Logan Sargent maybe being that guy. But Giovinazzi is trying to get back in business as well. So it's certainly an interesting one. And the Haas seat, I'm sure he would want that, the whole Ferrari reserve driver connection. They would probably want that. But Haas probably, well, they have the final say effectively. And even I believe Günther Steiner said, look, Mick, deliver more points or we're going to get rid of you. It's eventually what he said. So we'll see what happens this weekend, because Schumacher's got to deliver over the next 2-3 races, and if he doesn't over this triple header, then his seat is probably gone, maybe to a Giovinazzi. This on Ferrari real quick, because they've been asked about team orders. Why are you not letting Leclerc win effectively, or giving him the advantage from a strategic perspective, because he is the key rival to Verstappen this year theoretically, and for quite some time now has been the only driver that's looked, from Ferrari at least, realistically capable of dethroning Verstappen. So, and they've actually said, Ferrari, that look, we don't even discuss team orders internally. We have been clear. We target the best result for the team. Ferrari comes first. At some point, we will need to focus on one driver for the championship. We are waiting for the right time to do so. So they're saying that at some point, team orders will happen, but as of now, they can't choose a driver to back. I really don't understand what goes on with Ferrari. And, I guess they can say that they don't choose a driver to back. They just, choose Ferrari themselves to back, but I'm thinking back to Silverstone and the decision they made there not to go for the double stack that they had plenty of time to do. Could have been a Ferrari 1-2. Obviously ended up, disastrously for Leclerc that weekend. And also saying, look, we have two very, very good drivers. We treat them in a way that we can maximize our championship position. So, look, I don't know, but that's what Ferrari said, at least is what's going on right now. Let's talk Mercedes. First of all, a slightly adjusted livery they are bringing here to Spa to celebrate 55 years of AMG Mercedes. And this is maybe what it might look like here, kind of a retro design here on the side pod of the circle with the number in it. Pretty cool stuff. You can see on the left hand side AMG 55 years as well. Not sure if there's too much more to the livery than this, or whether it's I think it's just slightly adjusted with the numbers appearing as this. So it should be pretty cool. Might look slightly different as well. So Mercedes a slightly new look this weekend, but probably not a new car this weekend, but maybe new upgrades to come over the coming races. They did say kind of a couple of races ago now, a few weeks ago, that they have upgrades to bring effectively every weekend in some form or another. We don't believe there's going to be any major changes this time, but maybe in Zandvoort, maybe in Monza and beyond, they could bring some serious things. Now look, they believe already they might be closer to Red Bull and Ferrari this weekend than they have been, just because of the technical directive, which is now finally in place. There were questions from Mercedes, why did it take them 4 races to kind of enforce this new technical directive? Because the flexible flaws theoretically that the FIA discovered on the Red Bull and the Ferrari, potentially at least, it hasn't exactly been confirmed by those teams, but the FIA delayed the clamping down on this to allow those teams to maybe come up with another way that they can achieve the same thing. But at the same time, the flexible flaws are now no longer a thing, and Russell believes, at least he said this after Hungary, that if Mercedes used what Red Bull and Ferrari are using, then they would have to raise their ride height, and therefore that would cost them 2/3 of a second. So Mercedes already believe they might be slightly slightly closer this weekend, and they certainly will think they will be if these upgrades that are rumoured are indeed correct. Even Toto Wolff says we're getting closer, like they're targeting wins in the second half of the season. They have 9 attempts, of course, to do exactly that, and no, we'll see if they can manage to do it. And they may well do if, as Juan Pablo Montoya believes, there is a big upgrade on the way, and if that is the case, you know what is going to happen. So this is the thing in Formula 1, that generally the teams that win either the championship or win races in the last half of the season are the teams that are making the most progress, right? That are teams that are bringing the most upgrades and taking the right steps in. And taking the most steps in the right direction. Development, of course, is key to success here in Formula 1. This is the statement before we discuss it, saying that Juan Pablo Montoya has revealed there is a rumour going around the paddock that Mercedes will bring a big upgrade coming for their cars in the second half of the season. Not just a big upgrade, like a double big upgrade. The rumour is that Mercedes has a big upgrade coming for their cars, and if that is the case, you know what is going to happen. Saying that it was interesting to see them stick to their minimal side pod design, something that's really cool to see from Mercedes. They stayed with their concept. Everyone else has kind of looked at what Red Bull has done and what Ferrari has done, but Mercedes stayed true to their way of doing the car, didn't change back their kind of no side pod design. And this, honestly, for Mercedes would be the perfect time for their car to suddenly come really good, because every other team on the grid, and Red Bull and Ferrari, you would imagine, have probably doubled down on their concepts, right? Like, you would think Ferrari, they know they've got a great car, they just haven't delivered the results with it. Red Bull are winning both championships. So you would imagine that both teams respectively double down on their respective concepts that they understand rather well, and go forward with that. And every other team on the grid is probably taking inspiration from either Red Bull or Ferrari. No one is probably taking much inspiration from Mercedes' design. That obviously hasn't worked out too well. But Mercedes have said for some time that they believe their philosophy can be the quickest on the grid. And if they suddenly bring an upgrade that makes that true, now of course maybe the upgrade changes the side pod look or whatever, right? If it is what we might expect it to be, as in a floor upgrade, because quite a while ago there was a talking point that our biggest upgrade, I think Mercedes said, will be something you can't even see, which kind of implied maybe some sort of more sophisticated floor design to kind of maximize the ground effect they're able to generate. Whatever the case is, if Mercedes can prove over the coming races that this is actually the best, car concept, or that they can start winning a couple of races or whatever, then next season they will take a great advantage, because all the other teams maybe have stuck with their designs, and Mercedes will kind of get the free rein to exploit this design potentially to the maximum of its ability. Of course, that very much weighs upon the fact that Mercedes, improve a lot in the last few races and take that momentum and that design into next season and all the knowledge that comes along with that. But it's not just Juan Pablo Montoya saying that. Fastest Pit Stop, pretty reliable for this type of stuff, also says rumours that Mercedes have a very big upgrade coming for their cars are true, saying that yes, indeed, this is correct, and there is a very big upgrade on the way. So what does this mean? Now, of course, a very big upgrade now in terms of lap time compared to the lap time you might extract from a very big upgrade at the start of the season probably will be lower, right? Because the cars are reaching their potential, their lap time ceiling now effectively, and therefore there's diminishing returns. So a big upgrade at the start of the year might save you even half a second. Now a big upgrade might save you, 0.2 of a second or something. That's probably an exaggeration, but you guys know what I mean. But as the car gets better and better as the season progresses, they bring new parts. A big upgrade has potentially less impact. But still, Mercedes know now that instead of being, like, on average this year, Mercedes have been about 0.7 of a second a lap off the pace of the Ferrari and the Red Bull at the front. The last couple of races, it's been more like 2-3 of a second in certain situations, and around circuits like Spain, for example, even earlier this year, it was more like 0.2 of a second. So if the technical directive does nothing, or even if it does a little bit, plus these upgrades that might be coming, it's a pretty big deal. Now, of course, we saw Red Bull also have a big upgrade on the way, they say, with their redesigned monocoque that's going to save them weight. That might save them 2-3 of a second. But this sounds to me like an aerodynamic change. And as I say, it does kind of align with what we heard a little while ago now, when Mercedes said, we've got a big upgrade and it's going to be on the floor of the car. Or they didn't say that. They said it's going to be one you can't see. So I guess we can interpret that to be whatever we want. Maybe that upgrade is the same upgrade now that Juan Pablo Montoya is discussing, and seemingly has some reputable backing from around the paddock as well. When will this arrive, if at all, is still a big question mark, right? Because it's Spa, we don't have any confirmation confirmation that there's going to be a new upgrade here, but maybe next time out in Zandvoort in the Netherlands or at Monza or further beyond, they could bring further upgrades, which is interesting because I kind of said this with Red Bull, that bringing further upgrades if you're Red Bull is an interesting decision because you could just put all your focus on next year's car, whereas Mercedes are committed, it seems, to maximizing what is possible from this year's car, so they know full well and they can understand the best that they possibly can about what next year's car is going to look like and how to adjust, which might well be wise. It might well take away some development resources from next year, but if they understand what car they're going to start next year with better than they presently do, that could be positive, right? But I mean, yeah, the other part of what Juan Pablo Montoya was saying was that, look, if they do really have a big upgrade in the works, then you know what's going to happen, right? We have seen it recently that in the end of seasons, Mercedes bring new parts that make their car incredibly good. Now, whether Mercedes are going to have a dominant car the last few races seems incredibly unlikely given the way the season has gone, but they could well at the very least have a race-winning car, which I'm sure is what, well, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell and the entire team will of course want to be the case. Just to mention this real quick, because yesterday we did discuss, of course, the Spa changes coming through. Verstappen has actually welcomed these changes, the new gravel traps and such, that make it, well, let's say they make it safer, but they also make it more challenging for the drivers. Verstappen says it's kind of more old school now. He's pretty happy with it, but that's pretty much where we are going to leave it for today outside of this image from, well, Lando Norris, of course, making his way up this list, and technically this weekend he can overtake Grosjean for the most points scored without a victory, but it would have to be an interesting race for him to put 10 points or more on the board. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you were new as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.